Hi, I want to go over a different way of making a coil piece. So what you want to do is have a bowl, a piece of cloth, it's a little bigger than the bowl, and of course your clay. So a piece of clay here, and I'm going to make a small slab. I like work it out so it's nice and even. And it should be bigger than the diameter of the bowl. This is going to be the bottom. So, put the cloth and put that in there and just work it in there, just gently, kind of lifting it up and pushing it in. Get it right down to the bottom. The cloth is there to keep it from sticking. Now, instead of the sponge, you could use a sock filled with sand, or in this case, I filled it with rice. So get it right into the bowl. Then trim off the top edge. You can use all kinds of things to trim with. I like to use the cheese cutter. You could use a needle tool. A knife works really well. The cheese cutter cuts really cleanly and easily. The needle tool tends to tear it. You can see it works, but it doesn't work quite as well as the other two. Okay, now I've got the beginning. So take your sponge, clean up that edge, and in the process you're wetting that edge so you'll get a bond. Squeezing it out and rolling it out. Fingers are flat. If there's a kind of high point, I'll rock and roll on that a little bit and then move my hands out and the coil gets longer. Trying to get it pretty much even all the way around. If you just roll it and let it go, it'll get even rounder. Work on those little high points. Now this is something that will be different. On the other coil pot that I showed you, I left the coils round. This one, roll it flat. This is a little pony roller. You could use a small rolling pin. The idea is to roll it as thin as the wall that you already have is. Then you roll it up. I think I made a really big one. Doesn't need to be this big. So I'll bring that little bowl back. I'm going to wet the inside so I get a bond. And I'm going to start to put this coil maybe a 1/4 of an inch down on the inside, just pushing it on. I'm going to overlap it a little bit. It's a little thick at this end. So when you get that like that, you can cut it, taper it a little bit, and wet it a little bit, and overlap. Blend that joint together. Now I'm going to go on the inside and blend those two pieces together, pinching them together at that joint and smoothing it. Now, if I want the pot to go in, I can continue with the coil on the inside. If I want it to go out, I'm going to go on the outside this time. So smooth that, wet that top edge a little bit. And bring it around. Pinching it off and pinching it there. Go around and pinch it together. Give it a good press. And then blend the two pieces together on the inside and outside. Use your fingertip. Use a rib. This seam, once it firms up a little bit, I'll pull this out and clean that up. Right now I'm just kind of pushing it in a little bit and blending it. Feel it, make sure it's not too thick in any place, particularly where I overlapped it. I'll trim it a little bit. I'm going to add another coil. So, a little water. And I'm trying not to put the joins in the same place. I'm kind of moving it around. So maybe a 1/4 of an inch overlap and blending it together. And it's nice working in the bowl because I can turn it around. I don't need a turntable to do this. Now where it's overlapping, I'm going to taper it a little bit. Wet it a little bit. Then put it together. Just using my thumb like this. Now as you're working, don't hesitate to paddle it. Now anything wood that doesn't have a finish on it, you can use as a paddle. Just wetting the surface a little bit so I can rib it. And supporting it on the inside and scraping it on the outside. You can pre-roll these so they're ready to go when you're ready to build. So I had these under plastic. I made them yesterday, and they're still just fine. Just make sure you wrap it all the way around. Flatten it. Roll it up, ready to put on. Now if your clay's kind of dry and cracking, dampen it before you roll it up. Soften this inside, about 1/4 inch down. Wet it where you're going to join it, and overlap it a little bit. Go around and pinch it together, and blend it on both sides. A little bit longer. Wet the inside, wet the outside, and pinch them together and thin them. Bring it up so it's a little bit higher. There. Go around and pinch it together. And blend it. Make one more. Flatten it out. Wet the inside, then about 1/4 inch down, overlap it. Wet the inside, wet this, and pinch it together. And then blend. Inside and out. Now I'm going to use the serrated rib and blend it even more. And the smooth rib I'm going to use the round rib now and stretch it out from the inside. I'll let this firm up a little bit, and I'll come back to it. Plastic on the top, but letting air come in underneath.